The White House says that the U.S. is sending 10 F-35 fighter jets to Puerto Rico as part of an effort to combat drug cartels.
Switching gears for now, Britain's Royal Air Force is facing sharp scrutiny as a new report has now put focus on the effectiveness and the future of its F-35 fighter jet fleet.
And now from trade to defense, Spain has shelved plans to purchase the U.S.-made F-35 fighter jets indefinitely.
The story unfolding in Canada's defense world is turning into one of the biggest shocks in modern military history. A quiet underdog, the Swedish Gripen, might be about to rewrite the rules of power, loyalty, and control across North America. And this time, Rolls-Royce is stepping in? Yes, that Rolls-Royce, one of the most respected engine makers on Earth, could be about to ignite a geopolitical earthquake. This isn't just about fighter jets anymore. It's about sovereignty, power, and whether Canada will continue to fly under America's shadow or finally take control of its own sky. For years, everyone assumed the story was over. Canada had already committed to buying 88 American F-35 stealth fighters, sleek, expensive, and politically convenient. It was the deal Washington wanted, the deal NATO expected, and the deal that seemed impossible to change. But in defense politics, nothing ever stays locked in. Rising costs, political pushback, and growing unease about U.S. influence are now tearing open that once sealed decision. And through that open door walks a jet few saw coming, the Saab Gripen. Smaller, cheaper, tougher, and now, possibly, completely independent from American control. Here's where it gets fascinating. The Gripen has always had one weakness: its engine. That heart of steel comes from the United States, the GE F414, a powerful but politically loaded component. That single piece of hardware means Washington quietly decides where and how every Gripen can fly. It's like owning a car, but your neighbor keeps the keys. Now imagine if that control vanished overnight. That's exactly what could happen if Rolls-Royce steps in to build a new British engine for the Gripen. If that happens, everything changes. No more U.S. export restrictions. No more hidden strings. No more silent vetoes from Washington. For the first time ever, Sweden, and any country that buys the Gripen, could operate a fully sovereign fighter jet. And for Canada, that would be revolutionary. Think about it. Canada's Air Force doesn't just guard cities. It protects a vast frozen frontier where temperatures plunge, runways freeze, and aircraft need to survive brutal Arctic storms. Pilots fly over endless wilderness, hours away from the nearest base. Every jet must be rugged, reliable, and fast to repair. The Gripen was built for exactly that. It can take off from icy roads, land on short strips of highway, refuel and rearm in minutes, and get back in the air before radar can track it. The entire engine can be swapped out in under 40 minutes by a small ground crew. No fancy hangars, no massive support systems. Just efficiency and survival. That's why military experts call the Gripen the fighter built for the real world. Not just the showroom. But the real story here isn't about performance. It's about independence, something Canada hasn't truly had in its defense industry for decades. Right now, every F-35 Canada buys ties it deeper into American politics and supply chains. The jets are advanced, yes, but they come with invisible strings. Every part, every upgrade, every repair depends on the United States. And Washington never gives anything without keeping leverage. But with the Gripen, especially one powered by a British Rolls-Royce engine, Canada could finally step out of that shadow. It could partner with Britain, Sweden, and Europe on its own terms. It could defend its skies without needing permission. And that freedom is priceless. The stakes couldn't be higher. The F-35 program has become one of the most expensive military projects in history, and Canada's share keeps ballooning. The original deal was around $19 billion. Now that number has exploded to nearly $28 billion. Each F-35, once hailed as the future of air combat, carries a lifetime cost of around $200 million per plane. In comparison, the Gripen E costs just over half that, and it's easier to maintain, faster to turn around, and built to survive in the harshest environments on Earth. That's why Ukraine wants it. That's why Brazil is already building it. And that's why Canada is suddenly paying attention. In a world where airfields can be destroyed overnight, the Gripen's design makes perfect sense. It can hide, move, adapt, and fight smart. Sweden even trains its pilots to land on highways, refuel, and take off again in under 10 minutes. It's not about being invisible. It's about being unstoppable. Now the question is, will Canada take the leap? Prime Minister Mark Carney is facing one of the toughest choices of his career. On one hand, the F-35 keeps Canada close to Washington and its NATO allies. On the other, the Gripen, now backed by Rolls-Royce and Saab, offers freedom, flexibility, and a new partnership with Europe. And then there's the politics. Relations between Canada and the U.S. are already strained. Tariffs, trade disputes, and even offhand remarks from President Donald Trump calling Canada America's 51st state have pushed tensions to new highs. Many Canadians are starting to ask a bold question. Why should our defense depend on a country that treats us like a junior partner? Tim Ripley, editor of Defense Eye magazine, put it bluntly, Canadians want to spend money with friends, not with a hostile neighbor. And the math supports it. So far, Canada has only paid for 16 of the planned 88 F-35s. That means it still has time to change course, or even build a mixed fleet. Some F-35s for stealth missions, and some Gripens for day-to-day defense. That balance could save billions, while boosting Canada's aerospace industry at home. Here's where things get even more interesting. Saab, the maker of the Gripen, is already in talks with Bombardier to assemble some of the jets inside Canada, possibly in partnership with Ukraine. With Ukraine planning to buy up to 150 Gripens, Saab needs more production capacity. And Canada, with its experienced aerospace workforce, could be the perfect place. Building part of the Gripen fleet in Canada would mean thousands of new jobs, billions in investment, and a revived defense industry, one Canada hasn't had since the legendary Avro Aero project was canceled in the 1950s. And this time, the stakes are global. If Saab and Rolls-Royce succeed, it won't just be Canada breaking free, it could trigger a chain reaction. Other nations like Thailand, Brazil, the Philippines, and even Portugal are showing interest. Every new sale chips away at America's grip on the global fighter market. Every Rolls-Royce engine built outside the U.S. is a symbol of shifting power. For Washington, that's not just a financial loss, it's a loss of influence. For Europe and Canada, it's a quiet revolution. Insiders say Canada's internal review of the F-35 deal is almost ready. Early drafts suggest a plan to keep the first 16 F-35s, possibly expand to 30, and fill the rest of the fleet, about 60 to 70 jets, with Canadian-built Gripens. That would be a game-changer. It avoids a full political confrontation with Washington, but still gives Canada independence, jobs, and control over its skies. Government ministers have already been spotted visiting Saab's headquarters in Sweden, and Ontario's Economic Development Minister has confirmed incentives are on the table to bring Gripen production to Canada. Even Bombardier, after its troubled past with the C-Series and Learjet programs, sees this as a chance to rebuild its reputation and maybe its future. It won't be easy. Building military jets is a whole different world. Precision, discipline, and billions in investment. But if it works, it could revive Canada's aerospace sector, bring production back home, and cement the country as a serious defense power again. And that's why this story matters. Because it's not just about what Canada flies. It's about who controls its future. Will Canada continue relying on U.S. technology, U.S. rules, and U.S. permission? Or will it build something of its own? Something independent, agile, and free? This debate is about more than jets. It's about sovereignty, trust, and the rebirth of Canadian defense pride. As Rolls-Royce steps in, as Saab expands, and as the world rethinks its alliances, one truth is becoming clear. The balance of power in the skies is shifting. And for the first time in decades, Canada might just be ready to fly on its own terms. What do you think? Should Canada break free from American control and build the Gripen at home, or stick with the proven F-35 program? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this story isn't over. The next chapter in global air power is just beginning. This is Global World News, and we'll be here to follow it every step of the way.